Welcome to Baltic Landlords, an international broadcast about real estate development, property management, and income sustainability. I am your host, David Svet, and my guest today is Klāvs Vasks, former vice president of SEB, business owner of MBC Capital and MBC Energia, member of the supervisory board at Citadele Banka, chairman of the supervisory board at Direct Mortgage Capital, and since April of 2021, also at information and technology company TED. Klāv, welcome to Baltic Landlords.
Welcome. Thanks for inviting.
Before real estate development can start on site, we need funds for the project. As we know, you have an extended experience in banking sector as well. Talk to me about the availability of financing for various real estate projects, especially in the commercial segment. What are the options for developers? I will touch also on your new development project at MBC, so I suppose you are well aware of such options.
Well, definitely. I think funding and financing is one of the most crucial aspects of real estate development. And basically, if I compare 15 years ago when I started in real estate and different projects, then the funding was more freely available. Banks are more active and not so risk averse like they are today. And basically, for a new entrepreneurs who is entering into this market, I would say that today it's more challenging and difficult. Of course, there are many new ways how to fund real estate today. That's kind of all this platforms, crowdfundings and so on. But of course, this money comes with quite a high interest and a short maturity. So basically, that's probably are better for some short-term developments, like, I don't know, residential, some single residential projects. However, if we talk about some bigger size commercial real estate projects, you definitely need longer term money, and the fact that in today's banking environment, basically, if you start greenfield projects in commercial real estate, basically you fund most of that with equity, and of course equity is the most expensive money if you compare to the bank finance or some institutional money which comes through, I don't know, pension funds or something like that. So basically, I would say the barriers in commercial real estate now is much higher than it used to be, and however, we see that there are real estate funds who right now dominate in commercial real estate space, and basically these are funds who attract money from wealthy private individuals and as well from the pension money from the Scandinavian banks, and basically the private entrepreneurs are in much kind of higher competition for the equity if we talk about some new developments.
Okay, in Riga we see a tendency of development and revitalization of brownfields in the city. We see progression at web quartals and other former industrial areas of Riga. And do you see this as a tendency rising until the whole infrastructure is renewed, or does it largely depend on the location?
I think the old saying that location is still valid for real estate, but I would say that second important issue is a concept there. And if you have valid concept, if you have a valid and good infrastructure to offer, then of course that's much easier to build and to develop something if you know what you are doing. And basically many of these old Soviet type factories are in quite in good locations, but very few of them are kind of developed in new, modern, sustainable commercial real estate projects. Yeah. WEF is one of the examples. I think our Mūkusalas Business Centrs, which is former Riga radio factory buildings, is also a good example. The shopping mall Alpha, that's also used to be the big factory, but taken down and built a big shopping mall. But there are quite many still abundant buildings and industrial buildings around across Riga, which are owned by somebody. But I mean, lack of concept, lack of money, basically they are just rotting there.
Do you see other areas with potential business clusters like in Mūkusala or WEF quartals in other areas of Riga?
I mean, Riga is a city divided by the river, and basically maybe different to the Vilnius. We have and Tallinn. We don't have the one central business district. So we have a new area around the Skanstes region, which is building quite slowly. The Hansa Street, which is a pillar kind of owned site. I think in Riga there are spots which are kind of developing, and of course there are some places. If you enter Riga, for example, Jugla, there is still some former factories and land plots available for industrial and commercial real estate buildings. However, I would say the other parts is main roads into Riga are covered already with some kind of already developing stories. But I would say Riga is too small, and basically everyone is competing for the clients, and I think the distances are not so far away from each of the space. So I think basically it's more the infrastructure, what you can offer, the service quality, and that's kind of main attraction for the tenants at the moment.
Yeah. And from the viewpoint of financing options and average costs, is it smarter to look for these brownfields and evaluate the renovation possibilities, or are new developments more advantageous than renovation processes?
It depends. There are buildings which are kind of with a good core or structure. Basically, you can use for renovation. So basically, taking away all the internal networks and kind of rebuilding the building on the existing core of the building. Yeah. However, many Soviet time buildings are built with kind of unified projects, and I would say very few of them are kind of convertible to modern industrial or commercial space. Yeah, and therefore I would say you need to really kind of evaluate these options, talk with architects, understand your concept, what you can do with the old building. Of course, sometimes it's much easier that you have a building already, you have some infrastructure around the building. That's sometimes easier than to start it from a greenfield or from the zero. Yeah. However, there are, as I said, there are disadvantages that it's much harder to get the right concept for that building to be attractive to the tenants.
Riga and its stand in the Baltic states as a place for providing services. What can you say in this regard? Do you see untapped potential as for the strategic location?
I don't know what happened between 2012 and 2018 with Riga, but I mean there was a huge gap between what happened in Vilnius and Tallinn. And if we compare 2012 we were approximately on the same level with Vilnius on a square meters of offices and so on, which basically serves for new business centers and business service kind of tenants and business developments. Either it was that time's Riga's kind of municipality and majors, whatever, not interested to build Riga as a hub or other priorities. I mean, we really stayed behind our main competitors. From one side, I mean, we lost something, but from other side, of course, there are some untapped potential for Riga still, because we have this huge gap. And what we see now, we see that a lot of Lithuanian and Estonian funds actually coming to Riga, buying land plots, buying buildings, and trying to cover that gap with the money they have made in their home markets. And of course, I think within the next 5 years we will see quite a booming real estate construction businesses, and hopefully that will also follow with some good international tenants, which will come from abroad and will make more companies, more businesses, and more workplaces.
Yeah, as you already mentioned, during that 6-year time frame, we saw a great increase in the commercial unit buildings in Vilnius and Tallinn, and now in Latvia we can also observe a number of projects being developed. But how much time do you think it will take to catch up to our neighbors, and is it even possible right now?
I think it's very hard, because I mean we see still projects announcing in Vilnius and Tallinn and other cities in Lithuania. I think we can try to close that gap, but I mean that will take at least 5 to 7 years. But probably, if we talk about closing that gap at all, that might take even some 20 years, and a lot of investment, a lot of change in political kind of landscape, attitude towards investors, the changing banking environment, attitude from the Scandinavian banks, or some new players coming into the market, being able to kind of fund all these projects.
Yeah, we also saw that in Lithuania there was a great development in the Klaipėda region. Do you see in Latvia maybe some other city or area that could be compared to that place in Lithuania?
Honestly, I think the business centers and businesses are growing in the places where you have enough workforce and potential employees. And in Lithuania, they had kind of not so concentrated living in only Vilnius, but they had also bigger cities like Kaunas and Klaipėda. However, in Latvia, I would say I would only look at the Riga as kind of potential bigger hub. Of course, there will be some regional smaller developments for the companies which kind of comes and try to serve their employees who probably not living in Riga, like, I don't know, Georgian group who had office in Cēsis, and they are thinking maybe about some other spots. I think there will be some single deals, but I mean, if we talk about some significant, at least 5,000 square meter office buildings, I would say for now they only make sense in Riga, around Riga, I don't know, 5 to 10 kilometers.
Yeah, so first we have to reach the potential of Riga and then start thinking about other places.
I think so. Of course, if after the pandemics, the more people, more employees of bigger companies will start to live outside Riga. That might also drive some development for flexible workspaces, like, I don't know, the cities like Mūkusalas, or maybe even like smaller regional cities. But as I said, I mean, this will probably not be a huge, big investments as we see in Vilnius or even Riga.
And what do you think about Ventspils and that infrastructure?
I think Ventspils is a great city, export-oriented. I mean, if there will be a good high school with a lot of students coming out in different industries, and if they will live in that region, then potentially there could be also some office or development. But I mean, I see Ventspils still more like industrial hub for factories, for logistics, for report transactions, maybe less like a service centers or IT hubs for the businesses.
Yeah, like a gateway to Scandinavian market, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the close proximity of the port, of course, brings you advantages, especially in production manufacturing.
Okay, let's go back to Riga again. Mūkusalas Biznesa Centrs has just recently signed a contract with construction company Velve to develop an A-class office buildings named Zeis Biroji. What made you choose Latvian construction company Velve?
Basically, I would say there are no many foreign companies, first of all, working in Latvia, and the construction industry is one of the few where the Latvian capital is still dominating. So all the biggest construction companies are still Latvian owned, or kind of Latvian resident owned or whatever. So, and well, they had excellent track record and experience, good reputation, and of course also we could agree on the budget which fitted to our business plan. So, and it was a logical choice. And of course, seeing a lot of infrastructural projects in the nearest years, which will definitely lead to the price inflation in the construction. This was the last moment for doing this investment, and also one of the factors that we will cover, option to cover this gap between Vilnius, Tallinn, and not letting foreign players kind of expand so much here in Riga in our grounds.
Exactly. Kaspars Rokens, chairman of the board at Velve, pointed out that the renovation process of former Carl Zeiss optics factory will be somewhat challenging because the intensity of traffic and the active office building of MBC. Do you see it as a potential challenge?
Definitely, because the construction site is very tight and small, and we have built a new infrastructure around that site, so which we definitely don't want to be somehow damaged or ruined. So this will be definitely a challenge for managing the construction works. And our aim was to replicate the former Carl Zeiss optics factory, which were built there like in 1912, already more than 100 years ago. Unfortunately, we could not save the structure of that building, but we will make a 100% replica of that building with adding some new modern additional buildings. So it will kind of one office building consisting of two buildings, and we are proud that that factory, one of the first monolith concrete buildings in Riga in 1912. So we were proud to renovate this, and like our respect to the innovators and to the people who built that in more than 100 years ago, and we still see that it's an attractive design and function we will achieve with that. So I think that would be a great building.
So the factory is taken down completely to rebuild it.
Yes,
from
exactly.
zero.
Yeah. So we did a full how to say scanning of the building with all their instructions, and it was kind of redesigned on by the architects again on in the PCs and computers and the projects, and that will be, as I said, full replica of 1912 building, formal built as a cult size optical factory, and later being used as a radio manufacturing factory until 90s basically.
And how many commercial units are planned to be there?
I mean, the total building is leasable space will be about 5,100 square meters. It's not a big building, but it will be a special building, and because of this historical building and the new part of it, and this will be the A-class energy, BREEAM certified excellent, to the class excellent. So basically that will be very well-being office building inside as well, very energy efficient, and basically we don't know yet how many tenants, but practically it should be like more than 5 or 6 tenants, because we will not divide it in small lots, but I mean it will come, the smallest lot will be about 300 square meter, so it will be already for some established businesses with starting from 20 or 30 employees. Yeah.
Okay, and I also saw that a month ago you published on your LinkedIn feed that you have just started a new project of solar panel installations, which will reach a power of 240 kilowatts. I see it as a statement that Mūkusalas Biznesa Centrs is progressing in sustainable long-term management. Did you always have this vision about renewable energy usage, or did it come to you just lately?
I'm entrepreneur by my nature, so I like new things. I like to think about different ways how to make money, how to become greener, how to kind of make the buildings and our life more sustainable, and basically we have thought about the solar already like 7-8 years ago, but then the technologies and prices were not so attractive, and the payback periods were much higher. But now we see with increasing electricity consumption, we see that our tenants are getting more concerned about the sustainability issues, and producing the electricity from the roofs, which is kind of basically free air, not used in kind of in otherwise. So we thought it would be a great idea to use that for producing our green energy, so which we can sell to our tenants and our clients. So basically that's one small step how we kind of can ensure our tenants is using fully green self-produced energy, and they are also caring about these kind of values, and more and more. So and basically with the future renovations in our business camp, we will double that solar capacity up to 0.5 megawatt. Yeah, so 500,000 kilowatts. So I mean that's very financially that's a attractive business, and that's a good kind of social initiative as well. I mean, both the finance and environment meets and fits pretty well, and of course different other sustainability kind of measures like energy efficiency, different new type of low consuming equipment for ventilation and cooling and so on. This is also in the pipeline. We are measuring and calculating all the time when it's the right time to do those investments.
So regarding the solar panel, this is just the first installation, and until 2023, when these ACE offices will be finished, there probably will follow more.
We have another big building in our site where we want to do some nice renovation and increase leasable space, and after that renovation we will have a new roof which will accommodate additional 210 or 220 kilowatt of solar panels. So basically then we will have a combined 500 kilowatt solar installation. Yes.
What is the total amount of the companies that lease your office spaces, just to give us perspective to how many people it's impacting?
I mean, we have like 140 tenants, and before pandemic there was about 2,200 or 2,300 inhabitants, as we call them. So on a daily basis, so it's a kind of small village or whatever comparing to the Latvian side. So we had more tn 2,000 people every day coming to the offices doing their jobs. We have more than about 1,000 car park, which was almost full all the time. So basically it was heavily actively used infrastructure.
Yeah, I actually come from a village that has less people than your business center, so that is approved.
Myself too. I mean, I'm also coming from small rural area, so and 2,000. It's quite a number. Yeah. I think we will increase with the new building. With the new building, we will of course the number of people will increase, and we are expanding our other infrastructure like multi-story car park, restaurants, more greenery on the streets, more benches, more leisure areas, so that the people kind of feel good, not only into the office but also outside, and they have all accommodations and infrastructure available.
What has changed in the past 12 months during the start of the pandemic?
I mean, from the office occupancy point of view, of course, we see some tenants moving or changing space to the smaller or restructuring, but still we keep very high occupancy on the leases. Despite that the people at some stage were very few in offices, but I mean the companies were still continuing to use and didn't terminate the leases, and basically what we see now that the companies already are creating a plans how to return to the offices in the nearest months when the vaccination kind of process will accelerate, and we see that companies start to more think about the well-being of their employees. So there will be fewer people in offices, but they will make this office space more kind of flexible, convenient for not only for kind of working 8 to 10 hours non-stop at the desk, but maybe more leisure areas, more connection areas where they can kind of have more informal meetings, discussions, and so on. So we see that the concept of the office is changing, but not the concept of going away from the office.
Yeah. I can silently whisper to you that Auseklis Sarkans, the co-founder of Starlux Investments, told me in our interview that he is placing his bets on the region of Mūkusalas Street. And I wanted to ask you, what is your ambition with Mūkusalas Business Centers on this road to modern metropolis in the middle of Baltic states?
I think without Mūkusalas, I have other development on Jelgava Street, which is, I mean, across the channel of Klāvs, which is right now quite damped and not nice looking. But I mean, together with the Riga municipality, we hope it make a new kind of water line in the Riga city. But I would say that with the development of Latvian University next to our site, there will be up to 15,000 students by the end of 2023. And this will definitely become very active region in a Riga city, because I mean students, new companies who will want to attract them as employees, nice infrastructure, nice location, good transport infrastructure, Rail Baltic station. So I would say that will create another nice kind of hub in Riga. And of course, Mūkusalas Business Centers will be kind of the central part from central in Mūkusalas Street and Latvian University across the channel, and developers of student residential housing also. So basically that will be lively neighborhood in some less than 2-3 years, and that will of course accommodate the business growth. I mean, I'm really sure about that, and definitely I can agree with Auseklis that that this will be becoming the new active hub of Riga.
Yeah, I think with the development, as you mentioned, the Rail Baltic development in that area, and these government plans to move the city center to the left side of the riverbank until the 2030 benchmark, I think that will definitely help that region. And I've been there myself. That street, the Jelgava Street, and that site which is across the street from the universities is not too pleasant and not too welcoming. But once that's improved and the infrastructure is built, I think that will be very attractive for potential students.
This is what is right now happening there with this with the Jelgava Street, Mūkusalas Street, Vienības gatve, and I think so close proximately distance to the old town. I think it's really untapped kind of Toņa counts as kind of whole bigger area, Mūkusalas, Vienības gatve, Jelgavas, all that area. The Toņa counts will really become like a hot hub for different developments in the next 2-3 years. You will see a lot of new, I know, Estonian investors have some residential projects. I have with partners there also the student residential student housing project already. We start to build in a month's time, so and should be finished by autumn 2022. So basically that will completely change the landscape in that area. So from the abandoned, not nice looking, dumped area, this will really become nice region and attractive for the young, really for young people, for the students.
Do you think the ambitions of our government can be reached during this time frame to move the city center, or could it be only reached partly?
I don't believe that the city will move away from the old town in the nearest future. I think that will probably take some few more terms of the elections. I think the drive there will be Latvian University basically, and the Rail Baltic. I mean, and the businesses and offices, living, student housing, all that infrastructure will come from the private sector. Just will follow the young people, the young kind of the university basically. nobody is counting on Riga municipality as a kind of tenant there. I think that will take much longer time for them to build something in that region. I definitely bet on university rather than on city. But of course, city will need to help kind of to remodel infrastructure, because I mean there are a lot of money if you talk about real estate development. In some cases up to, I don't know, 15% of the total budgets goes to the public infrastructure, like, I don't know, roads, centralized networks like water, electricity, and so on. Basically, if the city will kind of build and help entrepreneurs kind of with the public infrastructure, I mean, the private investment will follow in buildings, in whatever new public buildings and so on. So basically, that's the way how the things should work.
Let's talk about property management. How do you see the future of property management?
What we see from surveys of our clients, that property manager is a very kind of critical aspect for them to kind of to being a tenant or choosing one or another locations. And within the years, we have been managing our properties ourselves. So we have a small, very efficient team. Of course, there are services we outsourced for example, I don't know, engineering, networks, water, sewage, whatever. You have a good kind of suppliers and contractors, but I mean, the management of the tenants, the management of everyday kind of needs, or small repairs, or small electrical kind of works and so on. We have all own team, and we find it kind of very efficient in a way that today, to satisfy a client or tenant, you need to act immediately. So nobody wants kind of if you, like in a home, if you lose an internet, I mean, it's gone. I mean, your evening is spoiled. You cannot watch your kind of movie or sports game or whatever. And in a business, I mean, people pay the money so that they can do their jobs. So and we have created an environment and a service that we react immediately if there is some problems to the tenants, and this is what they really evaluate, and this is what they really kind of say that they like with Mūkusalas Biznesa Centrs, that we have this excellent services. Because I mean, you can provide the space, but I mean, if you don't have a proper management around that space, quality air, good quality infrastructure, so the people just, I mean, they go away. I mean, they want kind of the people to talk. They know that there is we can solve their problems, and I think that this is one of our kind of advantages.
It is evident that the large property holders like yourself, for instance, are expanding and growing the number of units under management. For me, it is clear that there are two paths to choose from: more people or digitalization or automation. Which one would you be willing to take?
Definitely the second one. I mean, we have gone, or not completely, but I mean, we are trying to go paperless. We manage our employees or service requests through the kind of IT systems, mobile apps and computer systems of the clients. They don't need kind of write an email. They can just enter the requests in the IT system, and administrator kind of assigns this kind of jobs to the respective kind of employees. We can track the performance of our employees through that one, and also we can track the service level we are providing to the clients and to their requests. So I mean, I want definitely to keep my headcount as low as possible, but I mean to automate different processes. So we have started to use our in-house developments in different IoT technologies to manage the buildings, like, I don't know, ventilation systems and lighting and so on. So basically, so that we can cut out the people, I mean, going checking something, but we rely more on machines, on the data, and that's kind of separate initiatives of myself. Maybe they are not, this is not yet a product you can maybe sell to somebody else, but I mean, we are testing a lot of different new technological kind of features, how kind of to minimize people and kind of workforce in different areas, especially when we have like 10 buildings in our site, so and there will be one more. So basically, it's not that when you have one building you can easily check. So, and this is why we are automating all the processes, and IoT technology is one of the kind of hottest we are working right now. Yeah.
So basically, the goal is to move everything to remote control, essentially.
In a large extent, of course, not losing kind of personal touch to all of that, but I mean, all the services where we can exchange people with machine, or at least monitoring of the systems and the processes, I don't know, starting from security, utilities, whatever. I mean, we try everywhere adapt smart appliances so that we can monitor what's going on.
Do you think complete automation is possible?
I mean, that's probably not possible, but I mean, I see that we can automate on the levels that we can keep our team very small, professional, and basically react when it's needed, and so that the customer gets the right service and don't lose the service quality.
Okay, and back to your personality a little bit. What is your personal goal or the area that you're focused on the most? Is it the supervisory boards of these big name companies, or is it this real estate market which you're trying to develop as far as possible?
I mean, you have to be kind of quite a universal, I mean, to achieve something in a business or life. And basically, I see these differentiations through kind of either kind of this supervisory board assignments, or either through working in some NGOs and doing in the businesses. So basically, more people you meet, more information you get. So the better you start to understand the things, your clients, the people, so you can make a smarter business decision. So I would say that's from one side is necessity. If you want to be successful in a business, you need to have a broad picture of different industries, and I'm really happy that I have a chance to work in the fintech, in the banks, in telecoms, and also real estate and renewable energies. So basically, I just try to get a wide helicopter view on many things, and basically what I can say is that if you have an idea, if you dig it through, you analyze, you learn, you study, you can basically start new projects in different industries, not having a background of that industry. You just need to have a kind of right attitude, entrepreneurial spirit, and ability, and need to kind of hungry to learn something new and study. So this is kind of a recipe I am using, and so far being quite a successful one.
Yeah, it seems like a very holistic point of view at not only the city but the whole country. And the following question is, how do you see Riga or even Latvia in the scope of 50 years? Do you see any partnerships going north or any help from neighbors or maybe collaborations between neighbors?
I think that, of course, capital which will come into the Latvia will definitely command the growth or kind of development of Riga, Latvia, and so on. So basically, if that will be, I don't know, more Baltic capital, then we might see the uh, I mean, Lithuanian or Estonian alike development kind of also in our public kind of thinking and so developments and so on. If this will be more Scandinavian capital, then it's probably will become more like Scandinavian type, or this will be American ones, then that can also have some futures. But of course, these are all capitalistic with some social kind of approach countries and businesses, and definitely, of course, Riga will and Latvia will grow in the region. It will not be that we will be abundant out of this. Of course, I think a lot of political landscape should change the things how the politicians think, and I mean the good education, good infrastructure, good tax kind of regimes, and also the competitiveness with the workforce among kind of nearest neighbors probably will be the ones who will drive the investment in the region. And if there will be investment, will be prosperous growth in different areas, like, I don't know, starting from art, cultural kind of whatever, small and medium businesses, services, and so on. But basically, I think there are things the politicians need to focus on, creating a good infrastructure, I mentioned, and the business will follow, and capital, the free capital, the capitalism will define, I mean, the areas where we will develop. I mean, if we will not have good workforce, we will have not good infrastructure. I mean, we will stay like small rural village in the Baltic or Nordic or even European landscape. So that's it basically. I mean, without that, I mean, we will not get this investment.
Do you have any advice or message to all the Baltic landlords out there?
I mean, I think we are competitors, but we are also in the same time we are changing this city. We are changing our countries, and I think all the new developments, all the green initiatives, focusing on the tenant and employee needs. I think this is the vision or direction we all should go, and I think let's kind of compete with our kind of ideas and visions, not with kind of something else. Yeah. So I mean, I am really kind of thrilled and inspired about what I'm doing and what I see the other landlords are doing, and I really kind of like this environment and business, and I think we will achieve quite a lot together.
I completely agree with you because I think we are all in the same boat here in Baltic states, and every new idea, every new project and green initiative contributes to the bigger picture.
Exactly.
So where can people find you?
On LinkedIn. Or I don't know, in my office when I'm working on Mūkusalas Street, or in a Tate in Zirnavo, or Republika Slaukums in the Citadel. So I'm all around the places, basically.
Okay.
But I'm kind of quite accessible person in that way, so you can reach out and ask questions if needed.
Okay, I appreciate this conversation, Klāvs. Thank you for sharing your time with me and Baltic Landlords.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you.